All right, today we're going to break down the powerhouse ideas from James Clear's Atomic Habits. Seriously, this book completely flips the script on how you should think about change, habits, and honestly, success itself. I mean, we've all been there, right? You ask yourself this exact question. Every New Year's, you set these big, ambitious goals, you promise this is the year you'll finally change, and then a few weeks later, you're right back where you started. And you think, I just don't have enough willpower. But what if that's not the problem at all?
So here's the core, mind-blowing idea of atomic habits. The problem isn't you, it's your system. Real lasting change doesn't come from some huge heroic effort. Nope, it comes from the compounding effect of hundreds of tiny, almost invisible improvements you make every single day.
Okay, so let's dive into this first big concept. And honestly, it sounds almost too simple to be true. It's the incredible power of getting just 1% better every single day.
I love this analogy. It's just such a perfect way to picture it. Think of your daily habits as the nose of that airplane. A tiny little shift, a small choice that you repeat every day. It doesn't feel like a big deal in the moment, but over months, over years, that tiny shift can land you in a completely different city, a completely different life. So this is the magic number, 1%. Not 100%, not even 50, just 1%. A change so small, so tiny, you barely even notice you're doing it. That right there, that's the atom of a habit. And that's where all the real power is hiding.
Okay, now get this. When you look at the actual math on this chart, this is where the idea becomes absolutely undeniable. It's not just adding up, it's compounding, like interest. If you get 1% better each day for a year, you end up almost 38 times better than when you started. But look at the flip side. If you get 1% worse each day, you basically decline to zero. The daily choice is minuscule, but the long-term difference is just staggering.
So why do we give up so easily then? It's because of this right here. We start a new habit and we expect to see progress right away. But for the first few weeks, maybe even months, our results are totally hidden in this plateau. It feels like nothing's happening, so we get frustrated and quit. But the work isn't wasted, it's just being stored up. It's like an ice cube in a cold room. Nothing, 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 until it hits that one critical degree, and then everything starts to change.
All right, so if these tiny 1% changes are the how, that brings up a much deeper question, the why. See, the book argues that focusing only on goals or outcomes is actually a really flawed way to go about it. The real secret to making habits actually stick for good is a much deeper shift in how you see yourself.
You see, most of us try to change from the outside in. We start with the result we want, like, I want to lose 10 pounds. But the most powerful, the most lasting change, it happens from the inside out. It starts not with what you want to achieve, but with who you wish to become.
And this quote from the book just nails it perfectly. Someone focused on the outcome trains for one race, and then they're done. But a person who focuses on their identity, they build the habits of a runner, and suddenly running marathons just becomes a natural result of who they are.
Think about it like this. Every single action you take is like casting a vote for the kind of person you want to be. So every time you choose the salad over the fries, you're casting a vote that says, I'm a healthy person. Every time you write just one page, you're casting a vote for, I am a writer. These small wins aren't just about making progress. They are literally shaping and proving your new identity to yourself.
Okay, so that's the big picture mindset. Now, let's get into the really practical stuff. The actual toolkit for how you engineer these habits into your life. This is where the theory becomes your reality.
So it turns out every single habit, good or bad, follows a simple 4-step loop. There's a cue, a craving, a response, and a reward. And what these 4 laws give you is a brilliantly simple framework to hijack that loop. If you want to build a good habit, you just go down the list. And if you want to break a bad one, you just invert each law. It's an amazingly simple and effective checklist for your life.
Now, all 4 of these laws are crucial for sure, but the book argues that the first one, make it obvious, is probably the most powerful place to start. Why? Because it focuses on the one thing we can almost always control, our environment.
This right here is a total game changer. We tend to think that really disciplined people just have more willpower than the rest of us. But the truth is, they're often just better at designing their lives so they don't need willpower in the first place. They don't fight temptation day in and day out. They just remove it from their world.
See, the little cues that trigger our habits are often totally invisible to us.
But by making the cues for the habits you want a super obvious part of your surroundings, you make the behavior almost automatic. You're not relying on your memory or waiting for motivation to strike. You're letting your environment do all the heavy lifting for you. And you guessed it, the reverse is just as powerful. If you don't see the cookies, you're not going to crave the cookies. It's that simple. By making the triggers for your bad habits literally invisible, you cut the habit off right at the source. Trust me, it's way easier to avoid a trigger than it is to resist the craving that comes after it.
So we've covered some huge ideas here, right? The incredible power of 1%, why your identity is more important than your goals, and that 4-law framework. But look, knowledge is useless if you don't do anything with it. So let's bring this all home with one final thought.
I want you to really think about this. It doesn't have to be some big monumental thing. In fact, it shouldn't be. It should be tiny. Maybe it's just laying out your gym clothes before you go to bed tonight, or moving the fruit bowl from the back of the kitchen to the middle of the counter. Find one small environmental tweak, one invisible cue you can make obvious, and just do it. Because that simple, tiny action, that's where real change actually begins.